Now, I've had a handful, and I don't know how seriously to take, like a couple people throwing me messages on Twitter, right, about the need to sit Will Levis and not expose him to further injury, even if he is medically available to play. He's dealing with a high ankle sprain, according to Jeremy Fowler of ESPN. To this point, there's been no indication of surgery. Surgery would probably shut him down for the season, given that there are 3 games left in the season. But it's tough for me to look at his circumstance and Mike Vrabel's circumstance and say that as a coaching staff, they just need to shut him down to keep him safe. If he is available to play in this hypothetical, Will Levis is available on Sunday against the Seahawks. I don't know that he's going to be available. He'll probably speak tomorrow, and if he doesn't, then that's very telling. But I would imagine that Will Levis would speak tomorrow at the podium, as is the custom for the quarterback on Wednesdays.
Well, everything depends on the severity too, right? Like there's differing levels of availability. I get if you're available and you're going to play, you're expected to go out and play how you normally do. But there's Trevor Lawrence sprained ankle, right? Where 2 weeks ago he has to be helped off the field, and then he's back 7 days later in Cleveland.
Against the Cleveland Browns, which is a much more difficult task than a lot of defenses in the league right now.
Against Myles Garrett, he's back the next week. Or is it, more on the Ryan Tannehill side of things, where Tannehill now for each of the last 2 seasons has given it a go, has been available after the initial sprained ankle, and both times there's been I guess there wasn't even a re-aggravation this year, right? It was just he went out in the Baltimore game.
High ankle sprain.
Right. But last year he went out, came back, and re-aggravated it, 2 weeks later? So
yes,
a sprained ankle is complicated because it feels like there are several different levels of aggravation that would lead to this decision.
So in all of this, there's, of course, Mike Vrabel, who updated us yesterday on Will Levis's health and was asked a couple of follow-ups about if Levis is unavailable, would Tannehill be the quarterback that they go to? Here was the head coach yesterday at the podium.
Mike, how is Will? Have you gotten test results back? And depending on his health, is it do you have to weigh the fact that you're eliminated on whether or not you put him on the field?
Well, I don't think that necessarily weighs into, the decision right now. I want to make sure that, one, that he can protect himself, that he can do his job up to the expectations that we have, and that he, really the most important thing is that any player can protect themselves out there when, during a game. So it's Monday right now. He's sore, obviously, like a lot of guys, and we'll see, how things go.
So nothing, revolutionary there, but the theme, can he protect himself well enough if he does play? And that's a determination that they'll have to make with the training staff, and I'm sure they will consult Levis, although there have been examples, Lucas, of a player feeling like he can play and the whether it's the coaching staff or the training staff saying, no, you're not going to go this week. Christian Fulton is an example of that. Christian Fulton felt like he could have played after the Saints game, and they told him no.
You don't want to be in a spot where suddenly Will Levis is having to have offseason surgery, the way Ryan Tannehill did last year.
That is the least desirable. There is no outcome worse than that, other than like an ACL or something like that. Knock on wood or something.
So it all depends on the severity of the injury. But let's say, for argument's sake, that he just can't. He just can't go.
Okay.
Who do you put in there?
Tannehill.
You think Tannehill goes? Like, you think that's the decision if Levis just can't go?
If they're trying to win a football game, it's Tannehill.
If they're trying to win a football game, you're right. That's probably the move. Brian on the F&M Bank chat says, play Malik. If you're looking at maybe what serves all parties as far as the players, which isn't how the coaching staff is going to look at it, the thing that serves all parties the most would be playing Malik, right?
maybe the counter to that is I truly think, and it's impossible for people to not think that this is not like some kind of a personal attack, but I feel like he hurts himself more when he plays. If you're talking about as an asset, like for people to see him and to consider, oh, Malik Willis, that's a weird situation. Are the Titans going to keep him as the backup quarterback next year? Maybe we'll browse. Maybe we'll explore in the offseason. I truly, after Baltimore, man, I really think that he hurts himself more when he plays. Not in the literal sense of hurting himself. I'm talking about as far as being an asset to somebody else who might acquire him or be interested in acquiring him beyond just, him getting snatched up off waivers if they decide to explore a better backup quarterback situation this offseason, by the way, which they should.
I feel like the reward for Malik, from Malik's perspective, of getting that opportunity outweighs the risk of, just looking like he did against Baltimore. Whereas if you're Ryan Tannehill, in what world does it benefit you to get out there?
Oh, because he wants starter money.
He wants to start next year.
He wants to start. Now, the counter to that is also Ryan Tannehill is 35 years old, and you're going to ask him behind that offensive line to go back out there with 3 games left, with freedom, we'll call it, on the other side for the opportunity to go cash in. Tannehill, if they asked him to play, he would play. All right? It's not like a Zach Wilson. You saw those Zach Wilson reports a couple of weeks ago about him allegedly, and he denied it flatly, but it was alleged that Zach Wilson was less than excited about going back out there behind the Jets offensive line. By the way, completely normal reaction based on what the Jets offensive line looks like this year.
And also, Zach Wilson had one of the best performances of his career.
He certainly did. But Malik, of course, should want the opportunity to get out there and play. Malik, from his standpoint, from his representation standpoint, it benefits him. Like, to just be told no flatly takes away any opportunity that he would have to earn a spot here as the backup quarterback or elsewhere trying to compete. I would think it would be to be a backup quarterback elsewhere based on where he is right now, but I don't know. There's a lot of things that happen over the course of an NFL offseason. Maybe he gets a chance to compete for a starting role. I would be surprised, but that it never happens if he doesn't play anymore. But if they are serious about winning a football game, then the answer to that question has to be Tannehill.
And I get they still just want to win football games, even though they're out of the playoffs. But think about the boxes that it would check. How many boxes it would check for it to be Malik that plays. For Tannehill, he gets to stay healthy and go into next season with his best opportunity to start. For Levis, he gets to get healthy. For Malik, he gets that opportunity. And for the Titans, you just get another look at Malik Willis and see if there's anything there as a viable backup. And for Titans fans, that's probably the thing that is most likely to lead to losses in better draft position.
Yeah.
Like, it checks a lot of boxes for a lot of people.
No, I'm with you.
Other than giving them the best chance to win the football game, which is going to be the highest priority for the coaching staff.
Listen, on Tuesday, I don't think it's a certainty that Ryan Tannehill is, if Will Levis, we don't know if Will Levis cannot play on Christmas Eve against the Seahawks. If Will Levis cannot play, it is not guaranteed that Ryan Tannehill would go out there. Though, who has been the backup quarterback? Now, this didn't matter for Levis because Levis was a healthy scratch until he wasn't. Who has been the backup quarterback for every week that Will Levis has been the starter? And who has been the healthy scratch there? The emergency QB. Dressed but not technically available unless catastrophe strikes.
Malik
is the emergency quarterback. Yes, he's the third. 615-737-1045. You can chime in on this if you want to. What kind of message would it send to you as the fan base? And how are you as a fan base dealing with this at 5-9 with 2 home games left on the schedule? We'll get into that. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.